Look, the girl has her hands on a table. When she raises her head, a beard grows on her face. The next moment, she turns into a cute little kitten. As the woman on stage took out her timer and prepared to count, a strange scene occurred. The kitten sprouted wings. It turned out to be a placement test for a magic school. The children who came here were all magical youngsters. The school was divided into 5 classes according to the students' magical attributes. Flame, which can control fire. Beast language, which allows them to communicate with animals. Flashing, which can pick up things from space. And the flying class, which can fly. Girls who can turn into animals are called shapeshifters. In addition to these 5 classes, there's also a class that is out of control. Yes, you read that right. This place that looks a bit like a sewer. That's the entrance to the runaway class. Amy failed to transform and was assigned here without a doubt. In addition to her, there are 3 other students here who are also unable to control their magic. Andy flew straight into the air when he tested his flying ability. But the embarrassing thing was that he couldn't land on his own. He needed a 100-meter long ladder to get down. The teacher asked Rose to perform a fetch from the air, and when she did the spell, she pushed the object straight out. And Fatty with the flame attribute, the teacher asked him to light a candle with fire, but all he released was smoke. So they were all assigned to this place. When they asked the teacher when they could practice magic, the headmaster told them, out-of-control magic is very dangerous. There was once a student who couldn't control his magic, and it brought in a monster. The monster was eventually destroyed, but the child disappeared. Since then, the school has created a class for children who have lost control of their magic, but this class doesn't teach them how to control their magic. Instead, they were forbidden to use their magic, and the day they forget about their magic, they could go home and live their lives as normal people. And that's the fate they're about to face. Everyone was depressed. Only Amy began to work out her plan. On the other hand, unlike Amy's fate, her best friend May, who has the flame attribute, passed the test with ease and became a regular student in the flame class. But even so, faced with strong competition in the class, she still has a hard time fighting it. In order to choose the best students to perform on stage at the school festival next month, the teacher asked them to use magic to make popcorn from a tray of buns. Xiaomei managed to make it, but she was criticized by the teacher for being half-cooked. She was devastated and depressed. She goes to the garden to read a book and meets Amy. The two of them exchanged a few words. They reassure each other that they are doing well. May accidentally finds a weird black magic book in the library, because no matter where May goes, the book would appear in front of her, and it automatically turned to the page of the flame attribute. Out of curiosity, May picked up the book to check it out. At that moment, the black symbols on the book flew out. They spun around the girl faster and faster. Eventually they all flew into the girl's body. At that moment, the girl felt as if she had opened up her meridians. Soon it was time for the final exam for the top students. The teacher asked the boy who had been in first place to be Xiaomei's opponent, while the boy next to her was still chipping away at 1 grain at a time. Xiaomei just put her hand on it. The popcorn was like a boiling pot. It sprang up instantly. The teacher looked at Xiaomei with a strange look. Then he picked up a piece of popcorn and shoved it into her mouth, although she didn't want to admit it. But the popcorn that popped out of May's mouth was clearly better. So the teacher immediately announced that May had won the ultimate victory. And that's when Amy burst in. She just wanted to prove to the school that she could turn into a cat and stay a cat for 6 seconds. At her insistence, the school finally decided to give her one more chance. She pressed her hands on the table once more. Then whiskers began to grow on her face. The eyes began to turn yellow. The mouth and nose began to change. And the next, a little cat sits on the table. At this point, the teacher starts counting down the minutes. A few other students came to cheer her on, but she failed. Once again, she conjured up the wings of a bat, and that's not all. This time, she had a pig's nose and elephant legs. Luckily, May created an oversized fireball, which blew Amy back into her human form. Although May didn't mean to do it, but the strange magic really scared Amy. At this point, the headmaster started to mock the out-of-control class mercilessly. Dason couldn't take it anymore, so he decided to train the children in his own way. This man is training a group of out-of-control wizards. After a period of training, they became more and more skilled at their own unique magic. And just as Amy was about to tell Xiaomei the good news, only to discover that Xiaomei had been completely controlled by shadow magic, they decided to stop the shadow monster. It was time for the school ceremony. As the best student in the school, she was invited to perform on stage. As she folded her hands and slowly opened them up, a small ball of fire appeared between her hands. Then the ball of fire grew bigger and bigger. The students and teachers on stage were in awe. But at that moment a terrible sight appeared. A black shadow grew bigger and bigger as the fireball exploded. A horrible black cloud of smoke appeared around Xiaomei. Then it completely engulfed Xiaomei. This is the legendary shadow monster. The fire students attacked the monster with a combined force, but to no avail. The flyers were overwhelmed by the monster's aura and could not fly. The birds summoned by the beast whisperer were worthless. And finally, The Flickers. Who can fetch things out of thin air? As they pulled and pulled, they pulled the monster out of the air and created countless doppelgangers. And the headmaster was so scared that he hid behind. She had lost all his authority. A few of the runaway students, led by Dason, arrived just in time. Using all their strength, they managed to squeeze the split monster back. Then Fatty sent out smoke from his hands to disturb the monster's vision. Andy took the opportunity to fly above the monster's head. The monster's attention was distracted by a coordinated effort. Amy turned into a flying chinchilla in a flash. She started to circle around the monster's head. The monster was dazed and confused. He eventually collapsed on the ground. In the end, touched by Amy's true love, Xiaomei finally regained her senses. With one big fireball, the monster was completely destroyed. Their performance was finally recognized by the whole school. They finally abolished the rule that out-of-control students could not practice magic. Do well to watch it if you finds it interesting. Highly recommended. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this on Recap Next.